Party life, that's right.
Okay, welcome everybody. Today it's party at my place, or at least an explanation of how I would host a party online. So take my jacket off. That's probably the most experienced. Okay, so much for the fun part. Let me first tell a little bit about myself. My name is Almar from Krogt. I'm a Virreal Architect. This means I design web presences that hopefully have the same impact as some of the great buildings of the world. This is a picture of the skyline of Hong Kong. And these skyscrapers are definitely a part of my inspiration. Mostly because these buildings go beyond their functional need to house a lot of people, but actually want to make a statement. Today, I'll focus more on a place to party, like the mansions that the rich and famous have where they entertain their friends. And I will show you what an online equivalent could look like, including the tricks to show off to the rest of the world. I will go about it in a circumventing fashion to explain the basics for my vision. So a little bit background and later on what an actual online party could look like. First of all, there are nowadays widely spread social networks. Social networks have become a part of most people's real lives. For some, they may be getting to bigger roles, as you can see from this statement. But what you can see is that these social networks start to become a part of your identity. For example, Louis Clumer of Seismic, which is like a video Twitter, started drawing his social map. Is actually this social map, where he plotted all his relations to people, real and virtual, reside, and that's only for this moment in time. But the number of social networks are growing, and also the specialties are increasing. And it's an ongoing battle for attention. That definitely has a real impact on people. And what you see, for example, is that the stars like 50 Cent and Kylie Minogue start to move away from the big social networks like MySpace and start their own social networks. For example, 50 Cent started thisis50.com, and the reason was that he wanted to focus the attention of his fans on MySpace more to himself and of course to make more money. But this now is a possibility for us, not so famous people maybe, too. And because of tools like blogging, microblogging, webmarks, stuff like that, it's possible for an individual to become famous too. But it's not the point of becoming famous to strangers, but you want to make an impression to people you know. But it's still dependent on what network you're in and what network your friends are in. But some newly developed standards are coming to the rescue. First of all, there's the Google-initiated Open Social and more importantly the social graph standards. They allow you to see beyond your current network. For example, move from MySpace into Facebook or something else. And so you can find your friends when they are in different networks. And also there's the recently started DSO project, which stands for Distributed Social Networks. And they are laying the basis for starting your social network from your own domain. They're actually working on a toolkit that allows you to build a network, for example, on your own WordPress installation. And And that's exactly where I would want it to be. To come back to the analogy of the mansion, I would want my friends to come over to my place, join me in my way of life, and to show off my stuff. But why would you want to be there? I want to tell you about a special occasion that I watched online, and that is definitely something I would want to witness again. I think it was about 7 years ago that I learned about the painter Marcus Starby. This is one of his works. And he was an early experimenter with online auctions, and he actually became fascinated by them. And he would watch the sales of his paintings on eBay and would see that some collectors were virtually fighting over his paintings. So what he did, he started incorporating their email addresses, or login names, into his paintings. And for example, this painting is called E-Families, and you see different display names or email addresses. But then he made a painting, and it had two of these figures, but they were like struggling and like in a fight. And they were surrounded by all these email addresses. And by sheer accident, I watched that auction on eBay online. And sure enough, you could see the painting with these figures and the email addresses, but below you could see the people that were actually bidding on that painting. And it was called the bidding war, and the actual people on the painting were bidding for that actual painting. So there was something surreal almost that could only happen online. But that still doesn't make it a party. I think hosting a good party, or in this case, where Stoneboy comments on producing a decent podcast, isn't something that comes natural. So let me give you some guidelines on how you can make a bigger impression and make your party worthwhile. This image is of the Republican National Convention in 2004. As you can see, there's some well-known American symbols, Statue of Liberty, the flag, and also what they show is all kinds of images of George Bush, where he was addressing the rescue workers after 9/11. And the whole idea of the convention and the imagery they used is to make an impression on the voters and convince the whole nation to re-elect that president. And actually, it's a trick that dates back to even the Roman Empire, where Julius Caesar figured out that presenting an image of yourself to the nation really can have an impression on the people. And actually what he did, and it was mentioned in the book, The Third Media Revolution, where they said that Caesar would actually would have liked Facebook, because what he did, he put his face on the socially distributed medium of his time, which were coins, and he was actually the first to do that. So that same principle has been repeated over and over again, and as we all know, in 2004 it worked, because they re-elected George Bush. So using the right imagery, and not just functional, but really to make an impression, can help. Another example, and a key element here is sound, and it was the introduction of the new MINI Clubman. And in that campaign they used sound in a very sophisticated way. They had this online video where you could watch, and there was like some clubbers coming out of the club, and there was a strong beat under the video, and you could see the clubbers going into the new MINI Clubman and actually continue clubbing. And after that video, you could write down your phone number to receive updates when the car would actually hit the dealers. But what happened, as soon as you submitted your number, your phone would ring, it would pick up, and there was the same sound of the video, and it was instantaneously, and a voice of one of the people in that car telling you, okay, thank you for leaving your mail, we'll keep you updated. But actually the fact that you had the sound from the video immediately on your phone, which is like something physical, made it a very memorable experience. And also, which the next point, it broke the virtual barrier. Actually, you went from online to something physical. And even though I want to make a case for an online event, an online party, I think it's important to make this connection. I think a good party involves dancing, but movement isn't something that is conveyed very well online. Unless, for example, you use the internet-connected rabbit Nabaztag, and you see some here, that they can sync their movements, and somebody even made an opera out of these internet-connected rabbits. Another idea could be that you somehow connect your Nintendo Wii and through the movement of your body display your dance on a site where the party is. And finally, and I think this is also key to how the rich and famous go about their parties, it's important to make the party known to the people that are not invited. And if you watch here, it's not a very clear mock-up, but what I did here is that this could be a public page, and by moving your mouse, you can actually see something happening here, which could be the private party part of the site. And it's like looking through a keyhole, so you do get a little bit of access, but you don't see the big picture. But it's like a red carpet at an invitation-only event. So you know there's something happening and you want to be there, but you can only have a slight impression. But well, it can make you envious, but at least it creates a desire. So in conclusion, and you maybe turn it up. Okay. In conclusion, imagine your own website with a select group of friends enjoying your pages, and maybe you're one of these friends trying to sneak in, but you're there and you can show off your most recent web art acquisition, maybe a variation of Twist Story, which actually clusters tweets from Twitter, but you can make it into the conversation that is going on in the online party. And in the meanwhile, you can hear the sound seeping through from another part of your website and attracting your friends to yet another part of your site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? I'm Lambert, and I want to know where's the switchboard between participant and a spectator of getting at your party. Because I probably missed the kinetic feeling of being there, being present.
The presence is actually what the new tools would allow. For example, the social graph would allow you that if you're in my Twitter friend or a Hive friend, that once you're a friend, you're allowed in. So, for example, if you had that keyhole here, you would be able to see the site behind. But if you're not my friend in one of these networks, you would only see the first page and be able to look through the keyhole, but that's it. And you can maybe even imagine that if you're only my Hive friend, but not my Twitter friend, you can see a certain page, and if you're both, you get additional rights to see maybe even more, see the artwork or things like that. So you make a level of entrance differences.
No more questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was a nice presentation.